The Bosnian Parliament is the latest of several in Europe, including Belgium and Spain, to discuss a ban on the niqab or face veil, and France's own ban will come into force next month. Meanwhile, here in Britain, a group of women who wear the niqab are launching a campaign, Veiled Justice, to defend their right to wear it. But what does the niqab tell us about the sense of identity of young British Muslims? Newsnight spoke to Muslim women for and against the veil. Why are increasing numbers of young British Muslims wearing the niqab of their own volition, not forced to by husbands or fathers? Most of them acknowledge there are two opinions in Islam on whether or not the niqab is obligatory. On the streets, some of them face hostility and abuse. Their stance is attacked by feminists and the BNP alike. And yet, they continue to follow this very particular interpretation of their faith, one which is controversial even in some Muslim countries. Sarah, Rumesa and Ruman are in their 20s. They were brought up in Britain and university educated. Rumesa is in a professional job. As adults, they took the decision to wear the niqab. None was married at the time. They're part of a new generation of women committed to defending their right to wear the veil.
I started wearing the niqab about 8 years ago in the first year of me being in university. My decision to wear the niqab was to help me in my religion, as I saw it as an act of worship. It helps me and protects me, I feel. It empowers me because when I talk, I believe that I have a voice, I have an opinion, I'm my own person, therefore people are judging me for who I am rather than what I look like.
I've been wearing the niqab now for almost 4 years. I wanted to be seen as a Muslim and practice my religion more.
I've been wearing the niqab or the face veil for approximately 8 years. I see the veil as a form of liberation because it says, judge me for who I am and not for what I wear.
Nobody in my family wears the niqab, and alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, they've all been understanding. Yes, they had questions, why are you wearing it, especially friends who are non-Muslims, they had questions, but when you explained to them, none of them had an issue because there never has been a barrier between me and my friends, whether they be Muslims or non-Muslims.
My mother doesn't observe the niqab now, but she wears the hijab. When I started wearing the niqab, I had to, like Sister Rumesa said, I had to explain it to my family. My mum was more concerned with the safety. Maybe people attack me based on how I'm dressed, And my brother thought I was following a culture as opposed to the religion. So he questioned that, and I explained it to him, and he was accepting.
No, my mother doesn't wear the veil. And my family, generally, they're very supportive. Other cousins, they were quite shocked because I didn't really discuss with anyone that I was going to wear the veil. So I sort of just turned up at home and had the veil on. But they're really happy and, very protective. And obviously they had their concerns in case I went outside and there was any verbal abuse or any physical abuse.
So why is there this difference between the generations? Why are young British Muslims adopting the niqab when it played no part in their upbringing, when their parents' observance of Islam made no mention of it?
They came here, the purpose was to earn a better livelihood and, and make money and give a better life to their children. But now the thing is, we are born and bred here. And their aim was to, was to come here, work, fit in with the society, and we are saying, hang on, we are born here, we are part of the society. I see myself as British. I'm so sure these sisters here see themselves as British. So, 20 years ago, yeah, okay, fair enough, you wouldn't see a lot of people wearing niqab, would have been virtually non-existent. 5 years, 10 years ago, 1, 2 people wearing it. Nowadays, out on the streets, 10, 20 people wearing it.
People perhaps feel more comfortable in expressing their religious beliefs or their sexual orientation or their, whatever it could be, whatever differences it could be from what society would class as norm now than they were 20 years ago.
Why do we have to have the need to explain ourselves? If someone who doesn't wear much clothing can go out freely and not have to explain why she wears a miniskirt only or why she wears a bikini only. Why should we explain ourselves? We're British born, we were born here, we grew up here. We should have the same rights as other faiths and other people.
Hola adheres to a conservative interpretation of Islam. She works with other Muslims, writing and giving lectures on how Islamic law affects Muslim women in Britain. She's in her 40s and wears the hijab or headscarf now, but when she was in her 20s, she too wore the niqab.
I was at university and I was mixing with a group of very young, very radical men and women.
The backdrop was conflict in the Middle East and later the Bosnian War. Hola's group invited scholars from the Arab world who wove this international political context, one they termed as anti-Muslim, into a narrative about how British Muslims should live their lives.
One of the things that was being said again and again was that, look, the world is out to get Muslims. We are weak, we are vulnerable. The non-Muslim world is like wolves waiting to feast on Muslims. And the reason we are weak and vulnerable is because we are far away from true Islam. So we need to recapture true Islam in order to become strong again. One of the main topics of discussion by the scholars was that Muslim women, especially but men as well, need to be as different from non-Muslims as possible. Very, very passionate speeches were being delivered that, you know, we are insulting the memory of the Prophet if we try and emulate Westerners, non-Muslims in any manner, and that the women must be completely covered from head to toe, even the hands and the feet. There should be total segregation, you know, as much as possible at every opportunity, etc., etc. So I just started feeling really guilty about the fact that I did not cover my face and my hands and my feet. And so I started to. But we enjoyed being rebellious and different. We enjoyed the fact that not only were non-Muslims staring at us in absolute shock, but so were Muslims. I think my generation was very unhappy. We had experienced quite a bit of racism in the 70s, 80s. We were very sort of aware of the fact that, you know, our parents were immigrants. We weren't, but we were not accepted and would probably never be accepted. And then we looked at the Muslim world. We were searching for an identity.
You know, this is her opinion. This is why she chooses to do it.
The Muslim women generally, they're very...
These women insist they've never been influenced by scholars preaching segregation from Western culture. But why do they want to look so different, even from Muslim women who wear the headscarf?
People see it as, oh, they're trying to draw attention, trying to be different. The intention isn't to reject Western culture. We are Western. In our homes we wear jeans, we go out shopping, we go to, you know, we go to drink coffee with our friends, we go out with even non-Muslim friends that I know, we go out with our children. And I'm British, and I was born British, and I'm proud to be British, but I'm a British Muslim. Just because someone's got a different religion, it doesn't make them less British.
Can you understand why some people might say that they feel that you're shutting them out?
I can understand that, and the answer I would give to them is, are we shutting ourselves out or are they shutting themselves out from us? I believe I integrate fully into British society. I go to work and the people I work with, majority of them are non-Muslims, and they've absolutely been fine with me. I've been fine with them. They've not had a problem in terms of me communicating. They've never seen the niqab as a barrier, and they see me for who I am, and they see beyond the niqab. We're mixing with people if people actually give us the chance.
Hola wore the niqab for 3 years, then gave it up.
I found it incredibly impractical. I enjoyed doing outdoor things, and it's just very hard to do many of those. I enjoy eating out. That's one of the things I enjoy the most, is eating out, and that is very hard when you wear the niqab. And also I think I was sensing this sense of racism. And I just started to realise slowly, well, maybe the fact that I dress so differently is not helping. The fact that I speak English and don't sound very different doesn't matter. The first thing people see is my appearance.
Hola doesn't believe there should be a ban on the niqab, but she thinks Muslims need to think carefully about the consequences of wearing it.
The whole situation at the moment in Europe is just so edgy, and there is so much disrespect for Islam and Muslims, especially Muslim women, that it's a very worrying situation. And in that situation, anything inflammatory about the hijab and the niqab just does not help. We just don't need this at the moment. But I think that the niqab does not help in terms of integration, and it does not help the community. Because the first thing people see is different. And no matter how hard you try to be friendly and nice and everything, you know, people have already made their judgment about you, and that is that you are different. And I think in our context today, in modern Europe, where there is a lot of Islamophobia, it's very dangerous, and Muslims really need to try and help the situation, not make it worse. And I just think that the niqab is a very visible way of making things worse for Muslims.
Hola doesn't believe that the niqab should be an issue for politicians, but she wants Muslims to discuss it amongst themselves, and she's concerned that that's not happening.
I was once giving a talk in a prominent centre in East London, and I was talking about the hijab. Does the hijab have to be very different to our Western identity? Why does the hijab have to be very Arab-looking? Why can't it be somehow British-looking? And most of the women in the audience were wearing the niqab. They walked out. They just got up and walked out. People are not prepared to listen. So we've got all these issues within the Muslim community. People are just not... They're afraid to speak out because they know that if they speak out, they will be branded as traitors.
So what she does is she turns...
Hola hopes that her daughter, Umayma, will in time choose to wear the headscarf as part of her religion. But as far as the niqab is concerned, she has strong views.
I would not let her wear the niqab, no. I would be incredibly upset if she did, because it would be going, you know, back. I'm out there constantly in the community, preaching nice things, I hope, especially integration. And for my daughter to then show such a symbol of segregation and not wanting to be part of Britain would just be so wrong.
Sarah also has a young daughter. So what would she advise her to do?
This is a question my mum always asks me as well. I wasn't forced to wear the veil, and I would never do that to my own daughter. She's someone who's going to have her own mind, her own ambitions and her own goals, and she'll have the choice to choose whether she wears it or not. And it's not something I would personally impose on her.
The views of